How to play Sweet Siege of Candy Castle, an In the Red Games production. Sweet Siege of Candy Castle is an asymmetric strategic card game for 2 players that pits fantastical heroes against confectionery monsters. The heroes, led by the king, try to defend Candy Castle, while the monsters, led by the warlord, lay siege to Candy Castle. When these two meet, it will be a battle of epic proportions! Lamo? Really, guys? We have got to get a better special effects budget. Anyway, siege tokens will be awarded at the end of each round to the player that accomplishes their goal. The first player to 12 siege tokens is the winner. Here are all the things you'll need to play the Sweet Siege of Candy Castle. 50 hero cards, 55 monster cards, damage counters, and siege tokens. There are 2 types of cards in Sweet Siege of Candy Castle. Heroes who fight for the king, and monsters who fight for the warlord. We will now go over the layout of the card so you can become familiar with this game's terminology. In the upper left-hand corner of each card, there is a number. This is called the level. In the top center of each card, there is a name, which is unique to each card. This is called the title. In the upper right-hand corner of each card, there is a letter, which also corresponds to the color of the card. This is called the faction, and is similar to a card suit from a deck of normal playing cards. In the center of each card, there is a picture, which represents what the hero or monster looks like. At the bottom of each hero card, there are 2 boxes. The top box is called the active attack, and the bottom box is called the support attack. The symbols inside the boxes tell you what the attack does, but we'll get into that later. At the bottom of each monster card, there is a heart, and the number inside is called the health. To the right of the heart, there is a box, which is called the ability. Much like the symbols in the attack boxes, we'll describe what the symbols in the ability mean later. At the bottom of every card is a revision and card number. This helps the designer and playtesters better communicate and has no effect on gameplay. You will now decide which player is going to be the king and which player is going to be the warlord. This can be done through mutual agreement, fisticuffs, or by randomization. Once decided, the king and the warlord should sit opposite one another at the table. Take all the level 1 heroes, shuffle them together, and place them face down in a pile. This is called the hero deck. The rest of the heroes form the reserve. Take all the level 1 monsters, shuffle them together, and place them face down in a pile. This is called the monster deck. The rest of the monsters form the reserve. The warlord then draws a hand of 10 cards from the monster deck. Meanwhile, the king draws a hand of 5 cards from the hero deck. The warlord takes 6 cards from his hand and places them face up in a 3x2 grid. It is important to note that no reveal abilities are activated during this placement. The row closest to the king is called the first row, the row behind that is the second row, and the row behind that, which currently contains no cards, is called the third row. The warlord takes the remaining cards from his hand and places them face down into what is now his discard pile. The king then takes 3 cards from his hand and places them face up in a 3x1 grid in front of the monsters that were already placed. This is called the active row. And the row behind that, which currently contains no cards, is called the support row. The space between the first row and the active row is called the wall. The king takes the remaining cards from his hand and places them face down, forming his discard pile. The area next to the discard pile is called the upgrade area and does not yet contain cards. Each player then draws a hand of 5 cards. Setup is complete, and you're ready to play. Each turn in Sweet Siege of Candy Castle contains 7 steps which are completed in order: plan, upgrade, reveal, defend, siege, move, and draw, which we will now describe in detail with examples. The first step is plan. The warlord places 3 cards face down into open spaces in the 3rd row. The king places 3 cards face down into open spaces in the support row. Both players place 2 cards face down into their upgrade area, and any remaining cards in hand, of which there will usually be none, go into the discard pile. The second step is upgrade. For each card in the upgrade area, the players will take 1 card from the reserve that is 1 level higher and of the same faction as the upgrade card, and place it face down in their discard pile. Cards in the upgrade area then go into the reserve. We will now show you some examples of cards that can be chosen as upgrades for the slinger. The archer is 1 level higher in the same faction as the slinger, in this case R for red licorice, so it can be chosen as an upgrade. The rogue is also 1 level higher in the same faction as the slinger, so in this case B for black licorice. It can also be chosen as an upgrade. The king is the correct level, but not the right faction, so it cannot be chosen as the upgrade. The field marshal is the right faction, but is 2 levels higher rather than 1, so it cannot be chosen as the upgrade. Now for another exciting episode of Will It Upgrade with your host Bob Chesterfield. Nice to be here, folks. Let's meet our first contestant, Lucy Diamond. Hey. Well, Lucy, how's your day going?
Great, Bob. This is my favorite program. I watch it all the time.
That's fantastic. So you're familiar with our game. Get 3 answers right and you win the big prize. Let's get started with our first question. Can the devoted be upgraded into the exorcist?
Yes, Bob, it can.
That's correct. The exorcist is 1 level higher and the same suit as the devoted, so it can be chosen as the upgrade. Next question. Can the warlord be upgraded into the pyromaniac?
No?
That's correct! Despite being 1 level higher than the warlord, the pyromaniac is not the same suit, so it cannot be chosen as the upgrade. Alright now, final question, Lucy. This is a tricky one, so be careful. Can the wizard be upgraded into the wizard?
Oh gosh, you're right, that is hard. I guess... yes?
Wah, wah. Sorry, Lucy. I'm afraid it cannot be chosen because the wizard is the same level as itself. Don't worry, though. You won't leave empty-handed. We'll give you this consolation prize of a brand new car freshener. The third step is reveal. Cards in the 3rd row and support row are flipped face up, and any reveal abilities are triggered. Take note that monsters with the stealth ability are not flipped face up. The 4th step is defend. Heroes in the active row perform their active attack, and heroes in the support row perform their support attack. Any monster with damage counters equal to or greater than its health are put into the discard pile. We will now go through an example of the defend step. For each hero, the king must choose a target for its attack. Unless otherwise specified, this is the monster in the 1st row in the same column of the attacking hero. After the target is chosen, damage is calculated by taking the value of the hero's attack minus the value of the target monster's defense. Then, add damage counters to the target equal to the damage calculated. Let's start with a slinger, who uses his trusty sling to defend the wall. He's in the active row, so we look at his active attack of 1, which has a bow and arrow, meaning it is ranged, and a hammer, meaning it is physical. His attack doesn't specify otherwise, so the taffy bat is the target. The taffy bat's ability shows an infinity symbol along with a shield with a sword on it, which means it has infinite defense against melee attacks. Unfortunately for the taffy bat, the archer has a range attack, not a melee attack, so the taffy bat has 0 defense and takes 1 damage. Another attack like that and the taffy bat could be in trouble. Next, let's look at the devoted, who uses his faith to protect the castle. He's in the support row, so we look at his support attack of 1, which has a sword, meaning it is melee, and a wand, meaning it is magical. His attack doesn't specify otherwise, so the taffy bat is his target. The taffy bat's ability is the same as before. Unfortunately for the devoted, though, the taffy bat's defense prevents all damage from the devoted's attack, considering it is melee, and so the taffy bat takes no damage. Now, we look at the barbarian, who attacks with a flurry of blows. His active attack of 1 melee physical has special instructions on what targets he can choose. He is able to target every monster in the 1st row. Let's start with the taffy bat. Against its defense, the barbarian's attack deals no damage. Next, let's look at the gummy goblins. They have the same ability, so they will receive the same amount of damage from this attack. Considering they have no defense, or any other ability for that matter, they each receive 1 damage. Now the apprentice attacks with arcane magic. It can only target the gummy goblin and deals it 1 damage. Now the pikeman pokes with his stick. It deals 3 damage to the gummy goblin. And lastly we have another devoted, who deals 1 damage to the gummy goblin. At the end of the defend step, any monster with damage counters equal to or greater than its health is put into the discard pile. So in this example, only the far right gummy goblin has received that much damage. The fifth step is Siege. For each monster still in the first row, the Warlord gains 2 Siege tokens. So in this case, there are 2 monsters, so he gains 4 Siege tokens. If there are no monsters in the first row, then the King gains 1 Siege token. After all Siege tokens have been gained, move all monsters in the first row into the discard pile. At the same time, move all heroes in the active row into the discard pile. The sixth step is Move. Move all monsters up 1 row, so second to first and third to second. At the same time, heroes in the support row are moved up to the active row. The seventh step is Draw, where each player draws a new hand of 5 cards. If at any time a player needs to draw a card but their deck is empty, they should shuffle their discard pile. It becomes their deck, and they should continue drawing from it. Play continues, starting with the first step. The game ends when a player gains their 12th Siege token. They are the winner. Make trumpeting noises? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Alright. You do not pay me enough for this. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about this video or any of our games, please feel free to contact us at intheredgames@gmail.com. Thanks for your time.